Kathryn Kuhlman discovered there's a precise time when heaven responds faster. 6 in the morning. Not 5:59, not 6:01. Exactly 6 o'clock. And what she did at that hour changed everything in her life. It wasn't meditation. It wasn't traditional prayer. It was something far simpler and far more powerful. She drank water. But wait, before you dismiss this as nonsense, let me tell you what happened to Kathryn on the third day. Because it was on the third day that let's just say she understood she'd stumbled onto something people spend a lifetime searching for. A direct access to the sacred. Have you ever woken up at 6 a.m. sharp? Not 5:30. Not 6:10. Exactly 6. There's a different energy in the air. As if the world is still dreaming. As if reality is more malleable. Kathryn didn't know this when she started. She was simply desperate. 2 years of financial struggles. A crumbling relationship. Her mother's failing health. You know how it is when everything seems to be falling apart at once. And you try everything. You pray, you plead, you beg. But it's like your words are lost in the void. That's when she remembered her grandmother. Her grandmother had a strange ritual. Every day at 6 a.m. she drank a glass of water. But it wasn't just any water. It was water she prepared the night before, with a specific prayer, a precise intention, and things in her grandmother's life always worked out. Always. Kathryn always thought it was a coincidence, until she had nothing left to lose. First night, she took a glass of water, placed it beside her bed, and spoke some words. Words her grandmother taught her. Words whose power she never understood. May this water become a bridge between my heart and your heart, between my need and your abundance, that tomorrow, at 6 o'clock, I may drink directly from the celestial fountain. Seems too simple to work, doesn't it? But listen to this. On the first day, she drank the water at 6 o'clock sharp, and she felt something, a strange sensation, as if something had opened inside her. A channel, a connection she didn't know existed. At 8 a.m., the phone rang. It was about a job she'd applied for 3 months ago. They wanted her, but that wasn't all. They offered a salary 20% higher than she expected. And on top of that, remote work 3 days a week. Coincidence? Perhaps. Second day. Same preparation the night before. Same words. At 6 a.m., she drank again. This time, the sensation was stronger. As if the water carried something beyond H2O. As if it carried purpose. And something interesting happened on that second day. Kathryn woke up knowing exactly what outfit to wear. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was an inexplicable certainty. A blue dress she rarely wore. And when she arrived at her new job, she discovered that blue was her boss's favorite color. "You have great taste," he said. "Blue brings luck to our company." Midday, her ex-boyfriend called, wanted to talk, wanted to try again. But it wasn't a desperate plea. It was a mature invitation. He'd been to therapy. He'd changed. He wanted to show who he'd become. Still a coincidence? Third day. And it was on the third day that Kathryn understood she had stumbled upon something far greater than she ever imagined. Because on the third day, when she drank the water at 6 a.m., she felt it clearly. The water wasn't just going down her throat. It was also going up, rising directly to her heart, like a liquid bridge connecting her to something infinite. And at 2 in the afternoon, the doctor called. Her mother's test results. The tumor had shrunk. No medical explanation. No additional treatment. It had simply shrunk. That's when Kathryn realized she wasn't just drinking water. She was drinking miracles. But why 6 a.m.? Why not midday? Why not at night? The answer will surprise you. There's a science behind this hour. A science that few people know. A science that explains why 6 a.m. is literally the moment when the veil between worlds thins. Think of it this way. The day hasn't officially begun. The night hasn't completely ended. You're in limbo, in the space between, and it's in these spaces between that miracles happen. But there's more, much more. At 6 a.m., your brain is still in theta waves, the same waves as when you were in your mother's womb, the same waves of great mystics in ecstasy. It's the brain state of pure creation. And here's what's fascinating. At this specific time, the Earth's magnetic field is also in transition. Between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m., the planet's electromagnetic frequencies shift. It's as if the Earth itself is meditating, breathing deeply between night and day. The ancients knew this. That's why they called this moment the hour of silent power. It was when temples opened, when priests performed the most important ceremonies, when the portal between the human and the divine was completely open. And when you drink water in this state, the water isn't just water. It becomes a vehicle, a carrier of intention, a direct messenger between you and the quantum field of all possibilities. Kathryn didn't know this science when she started. She only knew it was working. 4th week, the miracles didn't stop coming. Small, large, constant, as if she had found a specific frequency. A frequency that the universe recognized and responded to. But then she made a mistake that almost made her lose everything. In the 5th week, she decided to experiment. If 6 a.m. works, 5:30 should work too. She prepared the water, spoke the words, but drank it at 5:30. Nothing. The whole day without signs, without synchronicities, without that feeling of being connected. Maybe it's a coincidence, she thought. The next day, she tried at 6:15. Again, nothing. As if she'd lost the signal, as if the line had dropped. That's when she understood something fundamental, something that completely changed her relationship with the sacred. The universe doesn't work on your schedule. It works on specific frequencies, at precise moments, in windows of time that open and close with surgical precision. And 6 a.m. was one of those windows. Kathryn returned to the exact time, 6 o'clock sharp, and immediately felt the difference. The water became a bridge again. The connection flowed again. The miracles returned. But why was the preparation the night before so important? Why couldn't it be tap water drunk right then and there? The answer lies in what happens to the water during the sleeping hours, when you infuse the water with intention and let it rest overnight. Something extraordinary happens. The water reorganizes its molecular structure. It aligns with your intention. It programs itself. It's as if during the sleeping hours, while your conscious mind rests, your subconscious mind speaks to the water, transfers information, encodes purpose. And here's what science is beginning to uncover. Water has memory. It can store vibrational information. It can carry frequencies. It can be literally programmed with conscious intention. For 8 hours of sleep, while you dream, the water beside your bed is dreaming too, absorbing your deepest frequencies, your most authentic needs, your purest desires. In the morning, you're not just drinking water. You're drinking your own prayer crystallized in liquid form. You're drinking your distilled dreams. You're drinking the liquid essence of your greatest potentials. Kathryn Kuhlman did this for 3 months, every day, 6 a.m. sharp. And in 3 months, her life changed completely. Work transformed into a career. A relationship blossomed. Her mother made a full recovery. But the most impressive weren't the grand miracles. It was the small ones, the constant ones, the daily synchronicities that made her feel she was being guided by a benevolent and intelligent force. Like finding the exact parking spot she needed, like bumping into the right person at the right moment, like receiving the answer she was looking for through a song on the radio, a billboard on the street, a conversation in an elevator. It was as if the universe had become her personal assistant. But there's something Kathryn Kuhlman discovered only after 6 months. There's something that made her understand why this ritual is so powerful and why so few people know about it. The water you drink at 6 in the morning doesn't just stay in your body. It goes straight to what the ancients called the light body, your energetic version, your vibrational signature in the quantum field. And when your light body is hydrated with programmed water, you literally transmit at a different frequency. A frequency that attracts opportunities, that magnetizes synchronicities, that aligns you with the natural flow of abundance. That's why the effects don't stop when you stop drinking the water. They continue because you've changed your base frequency. You've reconfigured your energy field. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered this when she traveled for 2 weeks and couldn't maintain the ritual. She expected the miracles to stop, but they didn't. They kept coming because she was already tuned in. She was already on the right frequency. The 6 a.m. water wasn't a dependency. It was an initiation, a recalibration process that, once complete, sustains itself. But here's what no one else tells you about this ritual. It's not just about drinking water at 6 in the morning. It's about what happens to you in the other 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day, when you know you have a direct connection to the sacred. It's about how you walk through the world, when you know you're not alone, when you know there's an intelligent and loving force orchestrating your life behind the scenes. It's about the confidence that arises when you prove to yourself that the universe responds to your requests, that your desires matter, that you matter. Kathryn Kuhlman transformed into a different person, not because of external miracles, but because of inner certainty, lived faith, the direct experience that there is something greater taking care of her. And that certainty changed everything. How she made decisions, how she faced challenges, how she related to other people, how she saw possibilities instead of problems. But there's a part of Kathryn Kuhlman's story I haven't told you yet, the most important part, the part that explains why this ritual works for anyone, anywhere, in any situation. And this part will completely change your understanding of what really happens when you drink water at 6 in the morning. Because Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that the 6 a.m. water doesn't just work for her. It works for anyone who understands the secret behind the preparation. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about prayer, intention, and manifestation. The truth is that the water prepared the night before with specific intention becomes something entirely different during the sleeping hours. It doesn't just become charged. It becomes a liquid mirror of your soul. And when you drink this mirror at 6 in the morning, you're not just hydrating your body. You are literally drinking the purified version of your own desires. Let me explain how this works in practice. When Kathryn Kuhlman placed her hands on the glass of water and spoke those words before bed, she wasn't just blessing the water. She was transferring quantum information. She was programming the water's molecular structure with the vibrational frequency of her deepest dreams. During sleep, while the conscious mind rested, something extraordinary happened. The water reorganized its molecules to mirror exactly what her soul needed most. Not what her mind thought it needed, what her soul knew it needed. And in the morning, at 6 o'clock, when the veil between worlds was thinnest, she drank this information directly, absorbed her own inner wisdom, crystallized in liquid form. That's why the miracles were always exactly what she needed. Not necessarily what she asked for, but always what she needed to grow, evolve, become the highest version of herself. The work arrived because she needed purpose, not just money. The relationship blossomed because she needed to learn to love herself first. Her mother's healing happened because she needed to understand that love is the most powerful force in the universe. Each miracle was a lesson. Each synchronicity was a step. Each answer was an invitation to trust more, love more, be more. But there's something even more impressive about this story. 3 months after starting the ritual, Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that she wasn't the first person in her family to use this technique. Her great-grandmother had also done it, and her great-grandmother's great-grandmother, and so on for generations. It was knowledge passed down from woman to woman, from soul to soul, but it had been lost in more recent generations, until Kathryn Kuhlman's pain was deep enough for her to remember. And when she spoke with her oldest aunt, she discovered details that sent chills down her spine. Her great-grandmother didn't just drink water at 6 in the morning. She could predict rain 3 days in advance. She knew when someone in the family was sick, even if they lived in another city. She had dreams that came true with terrifying precision. She said the 6 a.m. water opened what she called the eyes of the soul, her aunt recounted, and that every woman in our lineage had this gift. It just needed activating. And here's the most mysterious part of this whole story. When Kathryn started researching her family, she discovered that all the women who practiced this ritual had something in common. They were healers, midwives, women who served as bridges between the physical and spiritual worlds. It was as if the 6 a.m. water ritual wasn't just a manifestation technique. It was an initiation, a process of activating ancestral gifts that were dormant in her blood. And the more she drank the sacred water, the more these gifts manifested. She started dreaming of things that happened the next day. She began to sense when someone needed help before the person even called. She started knowing exactly what to say to heal deep emotional wounds. The 6 a.m. water wasn't just manifesting her personal desires. It was awakening her soul's mission. And that's when Kathryn understood the true magnitude of what she had discovered. The ritual wasn't about getting things. It was about becoming who you were always destined to be. It was about remembering your true nature. It was about activating the channel of direct connection with the sacred that always existed within you. But how can you begin this process today? How can you prepare your first sacred water and take the first step on this transformative journey? The preparation is simpler than you imagine, but there are specific details that make all the difference. First, the glass. It needs to be made of clear glass. No plastic, no metal. Glass is energetically neutral. It doesn't interfere with the programming of the water. And transparent because you need to see the water. Seeing is part of the connection. It's part of the visual programming that happens during preparation. Second, the water, preferably filtered. But it doesn't have to be special water. Intention is more important than the origin of the water. Kathryn tested tap water, mineral water, alkaline water. They all worked because the power isn't in the water. It's in your ability to program the water. Third, the preparation time, between 9 and 11 p.m. That's when your mind is relaxing but still conscious enough to program with clarity. Too early and you're still in doing mode. Too late and you're already too sleepy to maintain focus. Fourth, the words. And here's the secret that Kathryn's grandmother never fully explained. The words you speak over the water aren't just a prayer. They're a code, a program that you're installing in the molecular structure of the water. May this water become a bridge between my heart and your heart, between my need and your abundance. That tomorrow, at 6 o'clock, I drink directly from the celestial fountain. Each word has a specific purpose. Bridge establishes connection. Heart activates love as the dominant frequency. Need acknowledges your humanity. Abundance acknowledges the infinite nature of the sacred. 6 o'clock sets the sacred time. Celestial fountain reminds you that you're drinking from the divine, not just the water. But there's a fifth instruction that is crucial. An instruction that Kathryn only discovered after 6 months of practice. After speaking the words, you need to place both hands over the glass and visualize golden light entering the water through your palms. Not for very long, 30 seconds, but with total presence. with total intention. This golden light is the frequency of unconditional love. It's the energetic signature of the sacred. And when you program the water with this frequency, you ensure that everything you manifest is aligned with your highest good. 6th instruction: leave the glass next to your bed. Not in the kitchen, not in the bathroom, next to the bed, so that throughout the night, while you sleep, your energy and the energy of the water intertwine, harmonize, become one. 7th instruction: at 6 a.m. sharp, before doing anything else, before checking your phone, before going to the bathroom, you drink all the water at once, with gratitude, with reverence, knowing that you are drinking crystallized miracles. And then you wait, not with anxiety, not with haste, but with the calm confidence of someone who has planted a seed in fertile soil and knows that the harvest is only a matter of time. Because miracles don't always arrive on the first day. Sometimes they arrive on the 3rd, sometimes in the 1st week. Sometimes it takes a month for you to realize that your whole life has changed direction. But they always arrive. Always. Kathryn did this for an entire year. And at the end of that year, she was no longer the same person. Not just because of the things she had achieved, but because of who she had become. She had developed an unshakable trust in the universe. A faith that didn't depend on external proof because it was born from direct experience. A certainty that she was being guided, protected, and loved by an infinite intelligence. And that changed everything. How she made decisions. Now she didn't weigh pros and cons for hours. She simply felt what was right. How she faced challenges. Instead of panicking, she asked, "What is this challenge trying to teach me?" How she related to people. She stopped trying to please everyone and started attracting only people aligned with her vibration. How she saw opportunities where others saw problems. Her radar for possibilities became extremely sharp. She became a magnetic person, not because she pretended to be different, but because she accessed who she really was beneath all the layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity. It was as if she had removed filters that distorted her perception of reality. People started seeking her out for advice, for healing, for guidance, because they felt something different about her. A deep peace, a silent wisdom, a connection with something greater. And Kathryn realized that the 6 a.m. water ritual had done more than manifest her desires. It had activated her life's mission. It had revealed her soul's purpose. It had transformed her into a bridge between the human and the divine. Today, 5 years later, Kathryn still drinks water at 6 in the morning. Not because she needs to, but because she loves to. Because this moment has become sacred to her. A moment of daily communion with the mystery of life. And with each sip, she remembers that miracles are not exceptions. They are the rule. They are the natural language of the universe when you are tuned to the right frequency. But there's one last thing I need to tell you about Kathryn's story. The most important thing of all. 2 years ago, she was in an impossible situation. The company where she worked went bankrupt. She lost all her savings. And on top of everything, she discovered she was pregnant. Any normal person would panic, but Kathryn didn't. The next morning, she prepared her water as always. She spoke the words as always. And at 6 in the morning, she drank with the same unwavering faith as always. But this time, she added something. She said, "May this situation become the greatest miracle of my life." And as she drank, she felt an inexplicable certainty. Not that everything would be all right, but that everything was already all right. That the solution already existed. It just needed to manifest in the physical world. And you know what happened? 3 weeks later, in a supermarket line, she overheard a conversation. A man talking about searching for someone for a specific project. Exactly the kind of project she always dreamed of leading. She turned and said, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear. I do exactly what you're looking for." 2 hours of conversation later, He wanted to fund exactly the kind of business she always dreamed of having. It wasn't just capital. It was a partner who understood her vision, who believed in her potential, who wanted to build something meaningful with her. 6 months later, she had her own company. A year later, she was earning more than she ever imagined possible. And the baby. He was born the day the company turned one. A healthy, joyful boy, whom she calls my 6 o'clock miracle, because Kathryn learned that there is no impossible situation. There is only a lack of connection with the infinite field of possibilities that is her birthright as a child of the universe. And the 6 o'clock water is simply the simplest, most direct, most powerful key to access that inheritance. But here's what strikes me most about Kathryn's story. It's not the external miracles she manifests. It's the person she became. It's the faith she developed. It's the confidence she carries. It's the peace she radiates. Because when you drink sacred water every day at 6 in the morning, you're not just changing your life, you're changing your identity. You're becoming the kind of person for whom miracles are natural. And that is the real secret behind it all. The 6 o'clock water doesn't attract miracles into your life. It reveals that you've always been a miracle, that your own existence is impossible, that you are made of the same substance as the stars, animated by the same spirit that moves the planets, connected to the same source that created everything that exists. And when you remember that, when you feel that, when you live that, miracles stop being surprising. They become inevitable, because you finally understand the most fundamental truth of the universe. You are not separate from the source of all miracles. You are the source. You always have been. You always will be. The 6 o'clock water just helps you remember. Maybe that's why this ritual has been passed down through generations, not as a magic technique, but as a way back home, a way back to who you really are, a way back to the unwavering certainty that you are loved, you are guided, you are a living miracle breathing in this exact moment. And maybe that's why you heard this story today. Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's an invitation, a reminder, a calling to wake up tomorrow at 6 in the morning and drink your first drop of crystallized miracle. Because the only difference between you and Kathryn is that she already started, and you're still deciding. But the water is waiting, the glass is waiting, the universe is waiting, and at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, a new version of you can be born. A version that knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that it is connected to the sacred, that is unconditionally loved, that has direct access to the infinite field of all possibilities. All you have to do is drink.